Let's take a look at which token is gonna pump on today's tokens to watch. So today on Tokens to Watch, we are checking out Icon or ICX USDT, and we're looking on the 6 hour on Binance, but that doesn't really matter so much because this is going to be driven by some upcoming releases. Now, Icon has had a bit of a pump quite recently, and back on the late March, around about the 29th, we saw a massive drive up, all the way as low as 20 cents, all the way up to almost 50 cents before we start to see a heavy rejection. Now, some of the things that could have driven this last month would probably be likely the commenced working on relay and BNV changes for BSC due to changes introduced by the proposed Lubin update. And the Lubin update is going to be pretty big for ICX, but there's a few things that are going to be happening along the way. And that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. However, from a technical standpoint, naturally with this massive decline as from 50 cents all the way back down to the current price at 25 cents, we can expect that the moving averages are probably going to shift to the bearish sentiment. Although just because moving averages are in a bearish sentiment, i.e. the fast is below the medium, which is below the slow, that doesn't always mean that we're going to see a bearish trend ensue, because these are lagging indicators, so they're not always super up to date. But from a technical standpoint, ICX is looking pretty awesome, to be quite honest. We do have pretty much a slightly not fully tested weekly pivot above us, which is always a bullish sign. And as well, we'll take a look at the RVI, which is showing us almost a nice little bullish divergence. But let's throw on some of the technical analysis and see what we've got. So right up here, we have a whole bunch of stuff which we're going to check out today. And then we'll finish up with the targets, which you can stick around to the end of the video and I'll show you where I think this is going. So first of all, let's take a look at the technicals, and then we can have a look at some of the fundamental analysis behind it, which may drive it even further. Straight off the bat, we've got a bullish signal, and this is produced from our proprietary indicator, the BlockParty indicator. You can get your hands on it, just visit our Discord. The link is in the comments below, so check it out. It's all free. It's actually like premium content, which we give it all for free. So it is pretty cool. But we are looking at a descending triangle right now. We've got a real nice kind of support here, sat at around about 23 cents. And this was once a resistance which got smashed on the 31st of March and has now flipped right on round to a very healthy support, which we've tested 3 times, once on the 9th of May, once on the 12th of May, and again for quite a continued time across the 27th of May. And what we're doing now is we're coming into the real final parts of the consolidation periods right here. So we are really looking to break out of this trend line, this descending trend line right here. And I think we should do this if we basically look to break a pretty nice psychological resistance of that 25 cents. Seems to make sense. Once we break out of that, it looks like we'll also break out of this 20 daily exponential moving average, which will be great as well. And then we'll start to track towards filling this weekly pivot, which at the same time might hopefully break this 50 daily exponential moving average too. And not only that as well, we can see a bit of a bullish divergence. Again, we have to be a little bit flexible here. Whilst the support here is pretty much horizontal, we can see a distinct incline in the higher low here on the RVI, which is the relative volume index. It's our take on the relative strength index, which in our opinion we find helps define better divergences, breakouts, and oversold, overbought plays as well. So we are seeing a bit of a minor bullish divergence in play, a breakout of the RVI here. As we can see, the trend line descending, but we have made a clean breakout of there so far. And what's quite cool about these breakouts is they often show you the breakout before you'd see it on the chart. So whilst we haven't seen a breakout of the trend line here, we are seeing the breakout on the RVI down here. So that's a very, very bullish indicator in my opinion. Although we're not seeing it on the actual technicals on the chart, we are seeing it down there. So it's a nice little head start on where the price may be going. Although we're not quite there yet, I'd be much more comfortable in taking the actual trade once we break out of there. And I'll show you on the targets a bit later on where I'd be looking to take an entry. However, there is a few other things that are playing in our favor for a bullish play here. And the big key one here is the ETH Sepolia bridge, which is going to be huge, really. I mean, it's dubbed for release in May. We are coming up to the very end of May, you can see just here. And usually the one thing to be a bit mindful of is when there are releases, when there is kind of big kind of news drops, when the actual news happens. In crypto and trading in general, you generally see a bit of a dump because a lot of people have had the foresight to already buy. So you might see a bit of a dump, but we might see a retrace. But what that could mean is, we could see a bit of a retrace and it could actually drop below this support. But I do feel that might be a bit of a fake out and we'll come back in and pump straight back up. So just be mindful of that. Don't get too fearful if that does happen. But as well, it's something to be mindful of when setting your stop losses or, building your DCA structure here. So what we should be looking at next month in releases is enabling the trustless bridging between ETH, Sepolia to Icon, updating the relay and BMV with changes made to the BSC testnet via the Luban update, continue working on enabling trustless bridging BSC testnet to Icon, and also start testing with our focus testing group comprised of our ecosystem builders. Now that's not ours as in BlockParty, that is ours as in ICX. So there is quite a lot of exciting stuff to come. And that can hopefully only mean positive stuff for Icon. Now let's take a look at potential targets and where we think it may be going. As I mentioned, I don't want to be entering right now, to be honest. I want to be waiting until we actually have a bit of a breakout. So once we get into this region here, I would be pretty comfortable. And also dependent on when the release starts to become a little bit more public and people start to look to buy something around about here. Like I said, this trend line for me is pretty key. Because even if we do dump down, I still want to be looking to break out of there. So somewhere around this region would be pretty safe for me, to be honest. And you don't have to be an absolute ninja with it. As I mentioned, I would be a bit cautious about your stop loss because I think we could potentially wick down. So somewhere in and around that region, and you could go as low as this long-term low down here. Although for me, I think that's getting a little bit excessive, especially if you're using kind of risk as your basis for it all. And you're still looking at a positive risk reward there, which is fine. And this would certainly be the safer play of the two. And that's looking at a 22% stop loss and a 26.93% take profit. Although I don't feel you'll have to go down quite that low for your stop loss. And I think I'd be looking more somewhere around about this region and looking around about 1.6 risk reward on this one with a round about 27% take profit. And you're looking specifically around here because these two taps just here, as you can just see, let's get a little bit closer. So these two highs just here are quite significant to me, and I think that delivers a very, very, very confirmed resistance, especially this wick here where it tested and got rejected quite hard. I do think we're going to see some resistance there. So play today, you can continue up. As you know, if we take a look back at just how far ICX has come down, this really is the potential start of the massive, massive move up. So, the all-time high is some 1,200% away from here. We're not looking for that. We're certainly not looking at a hodl right now. We're looking at a bit of a shorter term, more exciting play. And this is where I'm looking at. So my entry would be around about the 255 cents. And then my target is around about 32 cents with my stop loss sitting at around about 21 cents. And I think that's going to look pretty good. If we do start to drop below here, I think there's going to be bigger things at play. more bearish movement incoming. So that's what stop losses are for, guys. If not, I think you could be pretty well off playing a bit of a DCA approach to this as well. Hope that helps, guys, and look forward to seeing where ICX takes us.